Okay, so picture this. You've had, I don't know, just a terrible week. You're stressed, you're tired, maybe. Maybe your bank account is looking a little scary.
Hmm.
You open up social media, just looking for a distraction, and
Get it.
what do you see?
Oh, I know exactly what you see.
It is absolutely everywhere. It's screaming at you from every stylized quote card and, every influencer caption. Change your thinking, change your life, manifest your reality.
Happiness is a choice. The good vibes only industrial complex.
Exactly. It's this incredibly seductive idea that if you just meditate enough or journal enough or get your mindset exactly right, the obstacles in your life will just dissolve.
Like magic, yeah.
Yeah.
The idea that if you are suffering, it's because you aren't, you know, vibrating at the right frequency.
Right. And that narrative is so dominant right now, isn't it? That the internal world, your thoughts, your perspective, that's the master key to everything external.
It is. And to be fair, I get why it's so popular. I mean, it's a really empowering thought. It sort of puts the steering wheel entirely in your hands.
It feels good because it promises control. But, and this is where it gets really interesting and honestly a little dark, what happens when you do all that work?
Right.
You get your mindset perfectly calibrated, you find your inner zen, you visualize the outcome, and the problem is still there. What happens when positive thinking runs headfirst into a brick wall of reality?
That collision.
Oh.
That is exactly what we are exploring today. And I
Mhm.
think for a lot of people, this is going to feel like a massive weight being lifted off their shoulders.
We are doing a deep dive into a fascinating and I think kind of relieving essay. It's titled, Not Everything Can Be Changed by Awareness. It's by the writer and philosopher Pedro Malha.
And this piece is a serious reality check. It really is. Malha is the founder of the Ghosts Movement, which is this nonprofit organization focused entirely on lived experience under real conditions.
A great phrase.
It is. And his central thesis in this essay is something we just don't hear often enough in the self-help world. He argues that life is shaped by two distinct forces. First, how we experience things internally, which awareness can change. And second, the external conditions that do not respond to awareness.
And the trouble starts when we confuse the two, when we try to mindset our way out of like a structural problem.
Exactly.
So our mission for this deep dive is to explore that uncomfortable gap. We aren't here to trash mindfulness. I still do my breathing exercises, I promise.
Me too.
But we need to look at the difference between feeling better about a situation and actually changing the situation itself.
Precisely. We have to unpack where that whole model breaks down. Because when we ignore that distinction, when we pretend the external world is just a projection of our internal state, we end up in a really difficult psychological place.
So let's start with the good stuff, to be fair. Maha isn't just saying awareness is garbage, right? He starts by admitting it works.
Right. He gives credit where it's due. He acknowledges that awareness is incredibly valuable for our internal reactions.
Oh, right.
Think about rising irritation during a conversation or that spiral of circular thoughts that keeps you up at 5 in the morning.
Oh, totally. I've had moments where I'm about to snap at someone, and then I catch myself, I take a breath, and I realize I'm not mad at them, I'm just hungry and tired.
Yes.
And in that split second, the anger it deflates. The situation didn't change, I'm still hungry, but the weight of it shifted.
Exactly. Malha writes that in those moments, something real changes.
Yeah.
It's not the event itself, but how it's felt. Patterns that feel automatic get interrupted. Conflict is reduced. That's real, and it is useful.
And that's why we love it. It feels like a superpower.
It does, and there's a psychological safety in it.
Yeah.
Malha points out that we cling to this awareness changes everything model because it offers a sense of control. If everything starts and ends inside my head, then I'm always safe, provided I can think clearly enough. It turns the world into a video game where you just need to learn the right cheat codes.
It's seductive because the alternative is scary. Admitting that things outside of us have power over us, that feels vulnerable.
It's very vulnerable.
But this is where Malha pivots. He talks about this quiet inconsistency. I love that phrase. It's not some loud failure. It's a quiet inconsistency between what you understand and what your life actually is.
This is the crux of his argument. He says the failure doesn't announce itself. You wake up one day and realize your understanding has stopped being enough.
He gives some brutal, really concrete examples of this, and the one that stuck with me the most was the rent example. It just feels so grounded.
Yes, it's stark.
He paints this picture of someone who understands their stress completely. They're fully aware. They aren't fighting the reality of their situation mentally, but they
Wow,
still have
okay.
to wake up at 5 in the morning because rent is due.
Yeah.
You can be the most enlightened person on the block, but if you miss that payment, you lose your home. The landlord doesn't care about your spiritual growth.
Not at all.
The requirement to pay rent does not respond to your awareness. It responds to currency.
That is the hard boundary.
Yeah.
And he extends this to medical issues as well. You can stop fighting a diagnosis mentally. You can reach a state of radical acceptance, which is arguably way better for your mental health.
Sure.
But the physical pain remains. The condition exists in the body, independent of the mind's relationship to it.
Yeah.
Understanding the biology of a broken leg doesn't make it walk.
And the third one he mentions is past actions. You can take full responsibility for a mistake. You can see it with crystal clarity. But that clarity doesn't reverse the consequences. The vase is still broken.
The bridge is still burned.
Oof.
Yeah. This all connects to the bigger picture Malha is drawing. He's pointing out that we treat life as if it's a movie projected from our minds. If we just change the film reel inside, the screen changes.
Mm-hmm.
But Malha is saying, no, there is a screen, there is a theater, and there's a world outside the theater that keeps spinning regardless of what movie is playing.
Okay, so let's unpack these conditions. This, for me, was the most technical, but also the most helpful part of the essay.
I agree.
Malha categorizes the external forces that shape a life into 4 specific buckets. I found this really helpful because it gives us language for things we usually just lump under bad luck.
It's a very helpful categorization. It moves us away from vague complaints and into specific analysis. The first condition he identifies is starting points.
Which is basically the lottery of birth.
Essentially, yes. Malha writes that people do not begin in the same place. The difference between having financial support versus having none, or having to care for sick family members versus being free to roam, these conditions exist before awareness is even relevant.
That's such a key point. You can't mindset your way out of your starting line because you're already there.
They're already there.
If you start a race with a 50-pound backpack and someone else starts with the tail end, no amount of positive thinking deletes the backpack.
Precisely. And acknowledging that isn't pessimism, it's just physics. The second condition is consequences. This refers to the fact that actions set things in motion mechanically. Malha uses the example of debt. A debt doesn't vanish just because you accept it. A relationship doesn't return just because you now see clearly why it ended.
Oof. That one hits. We always think, oh, I've learned my lesson, so the punishment should stop now. But physics doesn't work that way. Cause and effect just carry on.
They do. And that leads directly into the third condition, which I think is maybe the most nuanced one, room to move.
Room to move.
Or the capacity for recovery.
This is the comparison between 2 people making the same mistake, right?
Yes, and this is where the social critique really comes in.
Yeah.
2 people can make the exact same error in judgment, say a failed business venture.
Okay.
One recovers, the other does not. The mindset model would say the one who recovered had a better attitude, more grit. Malha says, look at the resources. One had support, time, and a financial cushion. The other had none. That difference is not mindset, it is capacity.
It's the difference between falling on a mattress and falling on concrete. The fall is the same. The technique of falling might even be the same. The landing is determined by the conditions, not the person falling.
Exactly. And finally, the fourth condition is what continues. Some situations stabilize on their own, while others escalate. This acts upon the life.
So it's out of your hands.
Completely. You can have 2 people with the same starting point, but the external systems they interact with might behave differently. A market crashes, a law changes, a health crisis spirals. These things follow their own logic, independent of the person's internal state.
So we have these 4 heavy hitters: starting points, consequences, room to move, and what continues. These are like the walls of the house we live in.
Good analogy.
But here is where it gets really messy for us psychologically. What happens when we refuse to see these walls? What happens when we try to apply the awareness model to these immovable conditions?
We fall into what Malha describes as a gap. And this is where the suffering really compounds. If you believe the formula, awareness equals reality, and your reality isn't changing, what's the only logical conclusion?
That I'm the problem.
Exactly.
It's the blame cycle. If I'm still stressed about money, it's not because wages are stagnant and rent is high. It's because I haven't manifested abundance correctly. If I'm still in pain, I haven't healed my trauma deeply enough.
Malha puts it perfectly. He says the individual concludes, I haven't gone deep enough. I'm missing something. I haven't arrived yet.
God, that's exhausting.
It is. They start endlessly searching inside themselves to fix a problem that is being shaped from the outside.
It's like trying to bail out a sinking boat with a teaspoon and blaming yourself for your scooping technique when the actual problem is a hole in the hull.
A perfect metaphor. And yet this is the default mode for so many of us. And Malha argues that it's not just an individual failing, it's a systemic blind spot. He critiques the major pillars of our society.
Oh, right, yeah.
Self-development, therapy, education, religion, for reinforcing this idea.
Let's run through those because he calls them out so specifically. We've touched on self-development. It focuses on presence and identity, which is great for emotions but offers no explanation for why financial obligations persist.
Right. Then look at therapy. Now, therapy is incredibly useful, but Malha's point is that it provides language and history. It helps you understand why something happened.
Sure.
But insight doesn't stop the past from shaping what is possible now. You can understand your trauma perfectly and still live with the limitations it created.
That distinction is vital. Understanding the why doesn't necessarily change the what.
Exactly. And then look at education. Education teaches effort equals outcome. If you apply yourself, you can shape your life.
Yeah.
But as we discussed with Room to Move, two people can put in the same effort and get wildly different results due to surrounding conditions. When we ignore that, we interpret the lack of results as a personal failure of effort.
I just didn't work hard enough.
Exactly. And even religion. Malha notes that while faith offers meaning or comfort in suffering, which is valuable, it doesn't alter the immediate hardship. Faith doesn't pay the bill or cure the disease in the immediate practical sense.
The condition remains.
The condition of the life as it is being lived remains.
So all these systems are telling us, look inside, look inside, look inside, and meanwhile, the world outside is doing its own thing. This feels heavy.
It does.
Is there a way out? Because Malha isn't just dropping this on us to make us depressed, is he? It feels like if we accept this, we just give up.
No, not at all. It's actually the opposite of giving up. This is where the essay becomes incredibly hopeful and where the work of the Ghost movement comes in.
Right, the nonprofit he founded. And their focus is lived experience under real conditions.
Yes. Their philosophy is a refusal to reduce life only to what happens inside a person. It's about embracing a both-and approach.
Okay, let's unpack both and. Because usually we think it has to be one or the other, right?
Right. It means accepting that awareness changes the experience while conditions shape the possibility.
Ah.
Neither cancels the other out. You don't have to choose between being aware and acknowledging reality. You do both.
So I can work on my internal reaction to stress and acknowledge that the stressor, the debt, the job, the illness is real and not my fault.
Exactly. Malha calls this the liberation of language. Just giving names to these external forces, calling them conditions or consequences, relieves the pressure on the individual. It stops you from owning things that aren't yours.
It's like instead of saying, I am a failure because I'm struggling, you say, I am a capable person struggling against difficult conditions. That shift is huge.
It's massive.
It takes the shame out of the equation.
It changes everything. It allows for a coexistence of states that we usually think are contradictory.
He has this beautiful visualization at the end of the text. He says, you can be calm and still be in debt.
You can see clearly and still have limited options.
You can accept what has happened and still live with its consequences.
These are not contradictions. He says they are reality. And seeing them as reality rather than as a personal failure to transcend is the ultimate form of awareness.
It's funny because it circles right back to the beginning. Real awareness isn't about deluding yourself into thinking everything is fine.
No.
It's about clearly seeing what is internal and within your control and what is external and requires navigation, not just positive thinking.
Precisely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, Malha is inviting us to put down the burden of omnipotence. You don't have to be a god who controls reality with your mind. You just have to be a person living your life, navigating conditions with as much grace as you can muster.
I love that. Put down the burden of omnipotence because, frankly, it's too heavy to carry. We weren't built for it.
It is. And understanding this distinction actually makes us more effective. If you know a problem is a condition, like a systemic issue or a consequence, you stop trying to meditate it away and you start looking for resources or support or practical solutions.
Right.
Or you simply practice endurance, knowing that it's not your fault.
It turns the energy outward where it belongs instead of inward where it just turns into shame. It seems like such a healthier way to view the world.
That's the key takeaway for me. It stops the cycle of self-blame. It restores dignity to the struggle.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I think the message is pretty clear. Understanding yourself is vital. Keep doing the work. Keep journaling. Keep reflecting. But remember that self-knowledge is not a magic wand that rearranges the furniture of the world.
Well said. And understanding that doesn't make you weak, it makes you realistic. And being realistic is the only way to genuinely navigate a difficult life.
Absolutely. So here is something I want you to carry with you today. Think about a struggle you are facing right now, just one thing that's been weighing on you.
And ask yourself this question. Is this an internal reaction I need to soothe, or is it a condition I need to respect?
Knowing the difference might just be the most important piece of awareness you can have.
It changes the game entirely.
Thanks for diving deep with us today.
It's a pleasure.
See you next time.